Morning. Thank you, God, for this life. Monday grind time, huh? Got something special for you today, I promise. Warning. This transmission may interrupt your internal noise feed. This is a silence-coded system alert. Might experience emotional discomfort when you realize most chaos was chosen. Guilt for how long you've avoided stillness, and sudden clarity that silence was the strategy all along. If these symptoms rise, don't rush back to noise. Do not seek comfort in clutter. Stay present. Welcome to Raw for Epoch 2, Day 104. We call this the Blissful Self Check-In. And we ask, where did silence serve you? And where did you choose chaos? Let me be clear. You did not lose peace. You traded it for stimulation and called the trade necessary. This is the Blissful Check-In, excuse me, the Blissful Self Check-In concept overview. Today is not about feeling better. It's about facing the silent decisions that created the storm. Silence is not rest. It is a realignment tool, and most people do not use it because silence doesn't validate. It reveals. So we're not journaling for therapy. Today we're running a systems audit through stillness. And today you will understand. Silence is not passive. It is a weaponized lens for realignment. Chaos is not circumstantial. It's often self-authored. Your nervous system defaults to noise to avoid emotional recursion. Bliss is not a peak state. It is a calibrated rhythm. You're busy is often a distraction ritual, not a productivity signal. We usually reflect on Saturdays. I want to catch you on a Monday today for a multitude of reasons. One is, if you've been following, we're 2 weeks into and 14 days into our April challenge. I thought it was quite sensational to think that time is just happening so fast. And I thought I would also catch you on a Monday because it's usually back to the Monday grind. And this Monday is probably like many other Mondays for you. And so I thought quite apropos to reflect and talk about the possibilities of having blissful self check-ins, the power of self check-ins, the power of silence. So if you've been following for a little while, if you've been catching along and you've been going through the month with me for daily challenges, etc., I think you'll find this helpful. Let's go into our visual metaphor. We call this the room with too many mirrors. Now imagine, immerse yourself, close your eyes if it helps. Imagine walking into a room full of mirrors, but every mirror is tilted. Some are cracked, some are fogged up. Some reflect you as someone else entirely. That is your life when you live without silence. You keep reacting to distorted reflections, thinking they are reality. Now imagine this. You clear the fog, adjust the mirrors, clean the glass, and for the first time, you see your actual self. That is what silence does. It returns your reflection to truth. And the truth, your truth, our truth, is the only foundation for bliss. let me get into my personal perspective for day 104. Ooh. I'm going to tell you what I now know for certain. Reflection is remembrance, and remembrance is the way back to the roots. Now, every time I reflect, I'm not just looking back. This is big. Hear what I'm telling you. I'm not just looking back. I'm returning back to source, back to heaven, back to silence, back to self. And I've said this a few times now over the course of the last week. I've created heaven for myself. Not because my life is easy, but because I've chosen silence when the world demanded and still demands chaos. There's bliss in my routine. There's bliss in my emotional discipline. There's bliss in the way I move through my body, the way I speak to my children, the way I pause before I overreact. Not because I'm perfect, but because I've trained myself to stop looking for noise to prove I'm alive. So silence isn't emptiness, it is interface. For me, it's the only way I hear God clearly. And you want to know where the noise lives? It lives in the parts of your identity you haven't reconciled yet. Where your vision of who you want to be doesn't match the identity you keep recycling daily. Hello, Monday, that you're tired of already. Now, that misalignment, that is your chaos. And silence is the only mirror sharp enough to show it to you. I'm going to promise you, there's something you realize. Chaos doesn't always roar. It doesn't scream. It doesn't yell and announce itself. Sometimes it's subtle. Scrolling too long, reacting too fast, avoiding stillness. And ironically, the more I commit to silence, the louder my potential becomes. So reflection is not a luxury, it is a covenant. For me, this is what it says. I will remember who I am so I don't create hell while chasing a heaven I already had access to. That is what silence is. Not a pause, it's a portal. So in everything I do, when I work out, I bring silence. When I pray, I bring silence. When I lead, teach, listen, father, love, husband, friend, community, regular cliche Jeff dude, I bring silence. Because silence doesn't mean quiet. It means awareness. And the more aware I become, the more I can walk through noise without letting it rent space inside of me. Silence. Let me check the chat for 11 on a Monday. Silence is paramount for success. I can't stress it enough. Now, as part of our reflection, after personal perspective, we'll now get into a sequence where I call the Black Book. And the Black Book is intended to help answer the questions posed in the overview. Now, how I arrived at the Black Book, simply to share and be relatable, is through massive reflection. So I'm 104 days in. Do you understand how much madness it would be for me to be the same exact person I was on day one? For me to deliver the same format that I delivered from day one? It's not to suggest I'm not going to settle on a format that's scalable at some point, because that's how life works. You got to be strategic. You got to look out. You got to reflect on what's possible. And then you got to deliver the tactics that are required to implement your strategic vision. And I believe a lot of the noise that surrounds us delivers nothing but chaos towards these hyped up, socially influenced dreams, manifestations of potential realities that likely have nothing to really do with who we believe we want to be. But irregardless, I digress from that point, not to judge or condemn. Getting too caught up in the strategy and not returning to the sort of mechanics, which we'll get into, and the tactical implementation of who you need to be regularly is the absence of silence. Because again, the euphoria of the beginning, of dreaming, of seeing, all of our dreams that we really want, anything that's really, truly worth it for ourselves, including becoming the best possible self through love and harmony and the synchronicity of the mind, body, and spirit, and however you want to call it. Completion within oneself takes massive time. It takes massive repeating. It is a routine in the sense of I'm routine towards the level of self-discipline, self-love, the version of whomever I'm being, one priority at a time, the multiple masks I wear. There's strategy in evolving in your professional rank if you just want to do the 9 to 5 and you want to reach the boardroom. You got to see it, but then you got to implement the tactics to get there. The business you want to run. Yes, you can see it completed. You can see everything. I can see the do-you rules in a lot of ways. You don't think I dream about, oh my God, the stage, the trophies, the money, the authority, the recognition. Yeah, that's alluring. Of course, I don't want to say that. I don't know the proper way to relate to it. I'll tell you this now. Whereas it used to be like, oh, I would love to get that because of all the power perceptually it gives. I just understand that if I'm going to walk this path, I assess and evaluate that could be the utopic version, maybe the nirvana. If you get into a business or a dream, you dream the biggest of dreams. Don't we all do that? But what I'm trying to express to you is that I love the idea of it. That is bliss, sure, in a way. But it is also what I'm learning is you have to accept that if you're gonna dream this big, God is gonna give you a certain level of accountability. Don't dream the big dream if you're not ready to be accountable. You don't just, it's not just a stage, it's a responsibility. The dream you have for yourself is a responsibility to your creative image, to your source, to your root, what I call God. Call it whatever you want. And my point to all that is, don't you dare dream about all the rewards that come with the work without understanding the constant reflection and sacrifice and the silence of the work required, the tactics. You don't just aim at something massively. You don't aim at heaven and not want to climb the ladder step by step. So this is what this amounts to for me. The blissful reflection, the constant pause to say, where am I at? Am I delivering how I said I would deliver? Do I have the audacity to take the stage and represent myself in the way I want to represent myself? Do I have the accountability? Can I measure? What am I measuring? Am I evolving? Is there any growth? Am I returning back to a Monday the same way I did last Monday? The world offers a massive amount of noise. And like with anything, it's so cyclical. If you just look back into how we've come as people, there's disruptors, there's innovators, there's early adopters, and there's the people who lag. I told you there's a law to that. And it's the law of the fusion of innovation. Those of us who can't figure it out are drawn towards the noise. And those of us who figure it out silence everything. Excuse me. So that we can hear ourselves. So we can understand, excuse me, I'm so sorry, the impact life is having on us. So we can see how we're behaving in our relational experience. How else would you know yourself if you didn't see the reflection of you in the world you've created? Presuming that you've accepted accountability and responsibility that you created this world for yourself, however you have it. Bliss awaits you, heaven awaits you, or I should say, the heaven you want in blissful euphoria awaits, unless you want to create hell for yourself as heaven. And if you don't reflect, if you don't go silent, if you don't hear what it is you're saying to yourself, what do you have to say that comes from you, that isn't influenced by the noise? What would you really say to you? What would you say to you? And I'll keep going back to, when's the last time you really looked at yourself in the mirror, just you? When's the last time you sat in the dark, the pitch black dark with no noise, away from everything and everybody, and just listened? Let's get into our black book. I'll check the chat one more time. God bless you all. Life is beautiful, man. And it's beautiful because it's awfully hard. And it's so much more tactical than it is anything else. The Black Book, The Mechanics of Noise versus Silence. This is where we separate the spiritual metaphor from system level mechanics. Silence is not an idea, it's a pattern, interrupt, and an emotional feedback system. The first thing we want to get into is silence is a sensory override, not emotional emptiness. Your nervous system defaults to the most rehearsed environment. If that is constant sound, information, scrolling, and stimulation, silence will feel like danger, not relief. That's not trauma. That's programming. Straight out the Black Book. If you are only in constant sound and stimulation, you've forgotten what silence feels like. And when you go silent, it will feel like it's traumatic. Or you might even decide to rehearse the most traumatic experiences of your life, because that is what you are doing when you're constantly stimulated, when your nervous system is always activated by noise. Here's the second thing out the Black Book. Man, I'm so tired of the damn cold. Did my mic just move involuntarily? What is going on here on a Monday? Chaos is often a ritual coded as urgency. Most people don't live in chaos. They live in overcommitment to emotional static. Your system, consciousness, equates movement with worth. So when silence shows up, the nervous system interprets it as a loss of relevance. Result, you seek noise just to feel alive. We talk about the programming and the consciousness. If all you do is surround yourself by noise, the only way to identify with your system as feeling alive is to go get noise. Including if the noise is constant pressure about fear-derived, poverty-driven, generationally cursed mindsets. Here's a third thing out the Black Book. Bliss is not the absence of pressure. Don't get it twisted. It's the presence of internal alignment. Bliss is not a high. It's a harmonized system state where your emotional, spiritual, and physical frequencies are not in contradiction. Silence helps reveal that contradiction. Chaos covers it. If we have a dream, that is our spirit, and we will ourselves. When you are locked in on your spirit and on the will and on your creative image, your consciousness, your mind, your thoughts will drive you there. Your body will follow, and each must trust each other. Until you have spiritual conviction, which will lead you towards emotional conviction, which will lead you towards cognitive conviction, nervousness conviction, your physical conviction will follow. all those frequencies must be aligned. We talk about this. If any one of those are inundated with chaos, the other will fracture and break. If one deviates, the other will not trust itself. It's like the plug, the three-prong plug we talked about. You got to be all the way plugged in. Black book. Number 4. Reflection is not soft. It is the most violent form of system truth. I just got goosebumps. The moment you pause and look inward, you face every loop that noise helped you ignore. That's why people flinch in silence. Not because it's boring, but because it removes the buffer. I'll tell you this. One of the things I learned early, and some people have chastised me for it, especially throughout my career. I default now in my hierarchy to God. I listen to God, I hear God. I say he, but it's the isness and all. There is no label for God other than the infinite. There isn't even a word. Anyway, God is in my hierarchy. He moves out. He says move, I move. I move with faith. He says I'm wrong. I listen and I interpret and I process. Throughout my professional career, I have made many mistakes, and I've always found myself in front of my hierarchy, my boss. And I've had many different types of bosses. Some who nurture you gently. Hey, Jeff, you fucked up. You got to do this a little bit better. And some who are like old school, just, you're terrible. I should fire you. The number one thing I've always done is listen. Because that person is in a position of authority to be able to dictate terms to me. Those are the rules of engagement. It also helps me understand what I've been doing in a loop type way professionally that got me here. I broke something. They saw me break it. It costs them. When I don't do what I'm supposed to do, the person in charge of me is at risk. That comes with the authority of being a superior in the work life, right? That's just the reality of what it is. My point being, most people flinch in silence because you're gonna hear, it's like the worst boss you could possibly hear in history just raining on you. It's the trauma. It's the fractured, broken, fragmented version of ourselves, the incomplete, the start, the stop, all the dreams that have been crushed and have died will reveal itself to you. And you'll flinch. Because when you're just left with just you and the excuses are gone, that is the most powerful thing about silence. What do you do when it's just you? What do you do when you realize you are the noise? What do you do when you realize you're creating and you have created and you are repeating and continuously introducing noise to yourself? Like anything else, we talked about stamina yesterday. When you first sit with yourself, don't do it for an hour. You're going to drive yourself crazy, but give yourself 5 minutes and extend. I would argue 15-minute increments throughout the day. You don't need as much time as you think to be alone in silence. And silence alone starts to feel like a very long time, especially if you haven't done it in a while. You'll flinch. Figure out why you're flinching. The fifth thing from the concept overview that we're revealing here in the Black Book. Journaling from silence is how you recalibrate your subconscious. You're not just writing, you're logging echoes. Without silence, you're not journaling, you're venting. With silence, you script. Reflection, real-time reflection. I've gone through different iterations of journaling. Composition notebooks. I have pens stuck inside books all over my house. And sometimes I write in it, sometimes I don't. I don't know that it's prescriptive in the way that you should journal every day. I literally journal with my thoughts. I also use it digitally. There are apps. I'll tell you, ChatGPT, talking to it in a journaling style format, because I like feedback. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I've experienced. This is what just went through my head. This is what I went through. And then seeing it, oh, this is what this might be. This is what that helps me. Sometimes writing it out by myself helps me. Prayer, that is journaling to me, having a conversation with God. I believe when you get so deep in meditation and you get so deep in understanding your thoughts, it is as if it's one long continuum of mental journaling. So when I say with silence you script, I return to silence, same time, same place every day. That is what I think the power of prayer and meditation to start my day is. That's like one big long journal. I can reflect on that constantly. My consciousness expects it, same time, same place every day. So when you offer yourself that, you can begin to format and structure your emotional experience through silence. You can reflect on what worked, what didn't work. Imagine the madness of why I wanted to put this out on a Monday. I hope this makes it to whoever needs to make it to, and I hope it helps in a way. That you haven't given yourself enough silence to realize that the Mondays, the grind from the weekend you didn't have enough time for, that you likely just blew. By not doing what you said you would do again, by being too tired from the week again, to start again the same week, to do the same thing again, that you've never given yourself enough silence to stop it. If even to just say, let me accept the fact that I'm here. And if I'm going to go through the same Monday again, I might as well create a bliss for myself. You want a new career, you want to get the business rocking and popping, and you want to get to where you want to get to, dominate the current job you're in right now. Why? Have you not realized if you want to do something outside of what you're doing right now, you're going to need to execute at a high level in that time? Imagine that. So you want to, you don't want to put 40 hours in where you're at right now for the week. You want to do it in a quiet quitting format, and then you want to what? Pivot into a dream? That's why you don't have the stamina. And you can't sit silent with yourself long enough to realize you got to dedicate this time anyway. The time is going to hit you. So you want to train yourself consciously and subconsciously to quiet quit and then turn it on because you think God's going to bless you like that? Where's the logic in that? And the reality is you haven't sat silent enough to know. You haven't even given yourself enough time. And when you do have the time, you certainly don't put in the type of effort that scales. That's the tactics. You want the Monday dream without the Monday work. Like if somehow when the dream hits you on a Monday, you're going to what? Have the stamina to put in all the work? How? How many 40-hour weeks have you just bombed? Not even meeting the expectations of your current profession. And then you think you just turn it on? That's why you burn out. So with silence, when you get past the difficulty of the fragmentation of the reality that you did this to yourself, you'll stop venting and you'll start creating solutions for yourself. Let me check the chat real quick. Ooh, feeling good, baby. I'm feeling good. Reflecting. I'm off this week. I'm off with my children. So today on a Monday is like the Saturday and Sunday for me. I don't got to clock in. I don't got to bring my kids to work, to school, excuse me. So I can go here to 9 till they wake up. They ain't waking up to 9:30 for breakfast. I got even more time to put in. I couldn't wait for this week. Why? I put even more time in to do you rules and what I said I would do for my dream. So when it comes, if it comes, but it's coming, I don't got to worry about the stamina. I don't got to worry about the framework. I don't got to worry about the tactics. God don't have to worry about, am I going to doubt it? Nope. There's consequences. Ooh, here's the consequences of inaction. If you don't check in through silence, you'll keep chasing noise just to feel like something's happening. You'll keep reacting instead of revealing. You'll confuse stimulation with peace. You'll mistake chaos for opportunity. You'll wake up more exhausted the more you achieve. You'll manifest goals in a state of spiritual disorientation. And worst of all, you'll create a life that looks like heaven, but feels like hell. The only person you're lying to is you. I got you though. This is where we take ownership. The first thing you want to do, how to take ownership. We're trading silence or noise for silence. The first thing is identify your loudest pattern. Where do you automatically reach for noise? Scrolling, talking too much. Ooh, some of you need to just be quiet. Over planning, busyness. What are you busy doing? Then you want to, number two, step two, replace with 7 minutes of strategic silence. Because 5 minutes is weak. Go for 7. Set a timer. No phone, no music, no output. Just be still. Turn the lights off. Go dark. Breathe. Let God, root, source, creator, spirit, universe, whomever, echo back what you've been too distracted to hear. There's something you have to say to yourself. Listen to you for once. And the third thing you want to do is write the one reflection that changed you. Answer this. Answer this. Go through the whole week and do this. Where did silence serve me this week? Where did I choose chaos? Excuse me. What did that create? You realize you're creating at every moment of the day. That's life. Now, let's move into our daily phone tap. Yeah, the phone tap, baby. Audit, remix, re-record. You want to audit. Audit one space where you labeled chaos as normal. Here's an example. You keep saying your mornings are just crazy, but really, it's Monday. You wake up 12 minutes before your first call, reach for your phone, and let everybody else's energy flood your system. Before you've even given yourself a chance to touch God, root source, thank God you're alive, or water. Hydrate. That's not chaos, that's choreography. Now that you've ordered it, you want to hit the remix. Remix the noise you use to feel alive. What's the noise that you're using that didn't make you feel alive, right? For example, you call it background music or staying informed, but you haven't sat in your own thoughts for longer than a scroll session in weeks. You blast sound 24/7, not for the vibe, but to outrun the voice that's trying to tell you to recalibrate. So you don't need another playlist. You need permission to hear yourself again. Then you want to re-record. Re-record your operating rhythm with one act of intentional silence. Here's an example. Sit in your car for 10 minutes before you walk into work or home. No music, no podcasts, no calls, just you, just breathe, just listen. And if silence makes you squirm and get a little queasy and nauseous, that's the signal it's overdue. And it ain't just presence. That is not just presence. That is recalibration. Let's be real. You can't keep praying for peace while living like a chaos addict. You can't keep asking for clarity while refusing to sit in the quiet long enough to receive it. Silence is sacred. It is sacred. And today, you reclaim it. Own the system or be erased by your noise. You either run the system or the system runs you. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.